Today's concept is inheritance, where you consider a superclass or a class is there. Like suppose you have a class known as square and one more class is there known as sum. I want to find the square. How many variables are required? Int a. What you can say, a into a. To find the square, we need a variable, right? And what is the next thing you can say? Int b equals to 20. So generally what we happen, if I want to find the sum, b comma c we can take, and b plus c, it's fine. It will add the two values, right? But here I don't want to declare the third variable c. What I will do, already that a is a variable which is getting used inside the square. I want to reuse that variable inside the sum, like a plus b, like a plus b. Okay. Next, this reusability is only possible when we use a keyword known as extends. Means the sum extends square. So this extends keyword makes it eligible so that a variable can be used inside the sum. And we have given some terminologies for these classes. There is nothing but super like super is there, parent is there, by base class is there. Okay. Now we have one more thing. The down classes can also be known as subclass, child class, parent. So this is the terminology. Sorry, here actually it's subclass, child class, and you can say derived. It is also known as what? Derived. Here we have to understand a point that when this a variable is being used inside the sum, so sum also requires memory for that particular a class, or you can say a variable, right, in the square class. So here whenever you create an object for sum, whenever we create an object for the sum, automatically an object of superclass will also be present. Like here, one more object will be getting created known as square. So what we understand by this, in inheritance, whenever we create a particular subclass object, automatically a copy of superclass object will be getting generated. That is the inheritance concept. Okay. And there are three types of inheritance: single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and the third thing is nothing but hierarchical, hierarchical inheritance. So there are totally three types of inheritance supported by Java. Whereas Java does not support multiple inheritance either in class or in that particular next concepts also. Okay. Now what is single level inheritance? Already we have seen that example and we have understood that whenever you create an object for the subclass, a superclass copy will get generated. So when you create object for the sum, automatically an object of square will be getting created. I want to write the program for this now. So here notepad, right? So what is that example? You can say first import must be used java.dil.hanger. Okay, and after that a class square has been written and a variable is declared known as a. If you want, you can declare anything inside a class. A declaration is possible inside the class, you can do it. Whereas here, if I'm writing a method void input, I'll write because you're not transferring anything, and that particular input is used to give the value. Like I'll create scanner as equals to new scanner system dot in. So now how to call that? A equals to sc dot next int. Understood? Just we have given the input for square, and we have a method definition also, right? What is method definition? To perform a particular task. So here input is a particular method which will perform only input of a variable. Okay. Now we have one more thing known as void logic or SQR. So each method is doing only one task here. So what's that method? Input is doing only one task. What is it one task? Taking the particular a value, right? Next system dot out dot println square equals to plus a into a. Now totally three things has been completed, right? I am writing one more class known as sum which must extend square. If you extend this thing, then only you can have the new pencil. So here class sum, sorry, if you are extending that square, then only you can have that a variable used inside the sum. Okay, so the sum extends square. You can say that, right? Now int b. Void input is already taken. So try to avoid the same names again. Okay. Why? At the time of overriding it will be clear. So if I say void accept, I can call. So what is accept? We can say again scanner s equals to new scanner system dot what you can say system dot in. Next system dot out dot println, I am entering the b value. The same thing must be done for the a value, right? After this, what you have to give? B equals to sc dot next int. So we are having a value, we are having b value now. But what is the scope, object scope, we have to see. Now void add. What is that? System dot out dot println. Sum equals to plus a plus b, right? Then last class will be single inheritance. The first thing we do, we create an object, public static string args. Now what we have to do, how many classes are there? Generally we have two classes, one is square, one is sum. So basically we do create objects for square, s equals to square, and sum t equals to new sum t equals to new sum. Two objects has been created. Like I'll just draw it and show you. So here first thing will be s object. In the same manner we have one more object known as t. So if you compile, how you will compile? Java C space, just saving the program as what? Single inheritance. I'm just saving the file. So in D drive there is a programs folder. In that programs folder I'm saying it as what? Single inheritance dot java. So when you compile, an error is coming, sc dot next in, we have to give the semicolon here. So Java single inheritance. Is it displaying anything? No, because we haven't called the methods, right? What I have done, I have just taken two classes. One is square class, which has the input and square for a variable known as a. And what is the next thing I have done? I have just created one more variable into b, and I have written accept and add, right? So which one we have to execute first? Like suppose s dot input and s dot, what you can say here, one more method is nothing but sqr, right? So one is s dot input, one is s dot sqr, and the next class is nothing but accept and add. So last again what you have to call here, s dot accept s dot add. Is it possible? But these two things are nothing but of class sum. So we have to use it by calling that sum object itself. Understood? So only the sum object can be used to call the accept and add. But we are having a problem in this scenario. What the problem means, if I consider two particular objects are there, one is square, one is sum. First s dot input. Input is in the particular method like s object, right? So now after this, what is that a value I'm giving here? Consider that I'm compiling again. The enter the a value 5. 5 into 5 is how much? 25. So what I have to do here? In input a equals to I have given 5, right? And SQR is nothing but what you can say, 5 into 5, 25. So in the S object we have called as input and we have called this particular SQR, right? In the T object we have to call what? Accept. So I'm just saying accept, and in that B value I'm giving it as 10, right? After that add A plus B is how much? So is it 10? Now, is there any value of A inside T object? What is the value of A inside T object? T object has only one value known as B. Is there any value of A here inside the T object? It's present in A like S object, but S object is not passed to this particular accept, right? So what do you have to call here? One, this accept is present in T object. The same way this input must be present in T object itself. And already we have seen that whenever we create object for the subclass, a copy of superclass object will be getting generated. Means how many objects are there here? You can see only two keywords. But basically when I create the sum object, automatically a superclass methods can be called, or a superclass object will be getting created, that already we have seen here. So when you create the sum object, square memory will get allocated because you are using the properties. So at the time of inheritance we no need to call or create superclass object. If you create subclass object it will be fine. So t dot input and t dot add. So all the particular methods are in the t object itself, right? So here sum equals to 10 because default value is taken. The same way if I compile again and if you run this thing, enter the a value, or you can say 5. What is that 5? 25. Enter the b value 10. What is that you are getting? 5 plus 10? 15. So now it's working, right? So what you understand? That in inheritance when you create object for the subclass, automatically a superclass copy will get generated. and stored in JVM. Okay, so here that's the reason we are opting for only subclass object. We don't require any superclass object. So just have to remove this thing, and I've done it. So here how many particular objects are there? Only one object for the subclass. Okay, and whenever you create object for the subclass, automatically a superclass copy will get generated and stored in the T object. So this is the most important point of calling the methods, and that methods must be called by using that particular object, means the represented class object. So here this entire concept is known as single inheritance. Now we have one more inheritance known as multi-level inheritance. Single level means what? How many classes were there? One superclass and one subclass, right? In the multi-level, you will be having multiple classes, one after the other. Like here, I'll show you an example. Consider I'm having a particular class, second class. Again you can have third. Again you can have fourth. Like that, n number of classes will be there. So I'm finding here cube now. What's it I'm finding? Cube. So again in the same thing I'm finding sub, and after that mul. So sum extends cube only. It can extend only cube and extends sub. So what's happening here? Cube is a superclass, and that superclass is nothing but cube, and the subclass is nothing but sub. In the same way, sub is the superclass, whereas multiplication is the subclass, right? So how many variables will be there? Int a, or you can say directly n. So now how to find the cube? N into n into n. Now how to find the sub? Int p, p minus n. And now int q, p into q. We can't access that particular a variable of q inside the multiplication, because when you create object for the sub, then only the memory will be allocated for that particular class. Okay, so here how to call the methods, that's the most important thing. And we have learned one thing, that whenever we have to create object in sub, like we create the object for the subclasses itself. If you have three subclasses, you will create objects for three classes, means three subclasses. If you have only two subclasses, you will create object for two subclasses. Now the first subclass is nothing but sub, and the second subclass is nothing but mul. So totally there are two subclasses. So I'll just create two objects itself. Like suppose consider sub of s, mul of m. Again the same thing. a block must contain only one action, or a block will perform only one action itself. Okay. Next, here first I'm taking input, then logic, whatever that logic you are trying to do. And here we have a method known as accept, and accept, after that accept you have again sub. And one more thing is nothing but give value, like we cannot take the same names, right? So I'll say give value, and the last is nothing but mul. So here there are two objects, one is sub and one is m. You have to make sure that the object contains both the values for the calculation. Consider I am just calling the methods as first s dot input, s dot logic, right? Because they're subclass objects. And then here, what do you have to call? S dot accept, s dot sub. And the same way here, before going to that, I'll explain that S object. This is the S memory block, you can say. In this memory block, you have n value first when you call the particular input method, and next after this we have one value known as p value, and before that we are doing the calculation. Next, what is it? P value, which must be given as a method known as accept, right? And what is the logic? P minus n. So you have to make sure that n value and p value both are present in this S object, so that you can calculate the cube and you can calculate the particular subtraction p minus n also. Now by using this particular m object, how to call that particular methods? Like here, if I say m dot, or we can say it as what? Give value. What is that give value? You can say nothing but m object. M dot give value, you can say. And after that, m dot multiplication can be called, right? But where is this particular p value? I have only two things. One is m dot give value. What does that give value will do? You will be having the q value. You will be having the q value, and then m into mul. But where is p value? Is any p value present in this particular m object? No. So garbage value will be taken as 0. Again, 0 into something, it will be 0, right? So to avoid this scenario, what you have to do? M dot accept, and that must be called before the particular function execution, right? So this entire thing, m dot accept, this m dot accept is nothing but we are having p value, p values as input, or you can say p value and q value. So both p into q can be done because both the values are present in this particular m object. So what is the most important thing here? First we have to call m dot accept, then m dot give value, m dot multiplication. Okay, so this is the most important concept, that multiplication object should also consist of this particular p value. Okay, so this entire thing you have to write the program. It's a lot of thinking going on, but simple thing, reusability. To achieve reusability we use this inheritance. So now this entire thing is known as multi-level inheritance. M object, when you create an M object, a copy of superclass sub will get created. Means if you want you can call this accept sub again inside this particular M object. But do you have this n value? There is no n value, right? You can't call input by using this M object. So there is a restriction to this thing. Means whenever you're using the subclass object, it can call only the superclass methods. So what are the superclass methods we have? That is accept and sub. But this sub also requires that p minus n, right? So p value is required, or n value you can say. N value is nothing but inside the input. So for that reason we have to have in the respective objects, because if I say again s dot input it's fine, but if I say m dot input it's not fine, because m object doesn't contain input method, right? So you can't call the input method by using m object. I want this program to be written. Okay, if you write this program based on this example, then the coding will be easy. Now after this we have the last thing known as hierarchical inheritance. What do you mean by hierarchical inheritance? One superclass, more than one subclasses. Like consider I'm having a car class, and that car extends, or car is a superclass you can say. So if you see we have a subclass. So Audi extends car. BMW extends car. Consider I'm Audi class, I'm having cost. I'm just explaining an example, so I'm just taking few methods. Either of the class will have both mileage and the cost, but I'm just checking out with this few examples, right? So here, what's the common thing for all the cars? That every car starts with a key, right? So what's happening here? This start method is provided a body. Means this start method body will be consisting of starts with a key. Okay, so Audi starts with a key, BMW starts with a key, right? How many objects are there here? Audi A, or a series. Okay, and one more thing you can say it as what? B, right? So we have to call A dot start, A dot cost. B dot start, B dot mileage. Okay. So how to write this program, we'll see. I'll write this particular program without any scanner. There is a class known as car. So what the car consists of? Is just saying void. So what is that void start? You can say system dot out dot println starts with a he. In the same manner, we have one more class known as Audi. And in this Audi, we have cost. So system dot out dot println Audi cost is some 90 lakhs. In the same way, class BMW extends a car. Again, BMW has one more method known as mileage. So what is the mileage of BMW? System dot out dot mileage or BMW mileage is now. After writing all those things, we have a class known as hierarchical inheritance. Public static void main. We have to create objects. How many objects must be created? 2. Audi A equals new, or you can say instead of A, you can give a Audi series number. That series number will indicate that particular cost, right? So here A dot first method must be start. A dot cost. Next, so we have one more thing known as BMW. B equals to new BMW. So B dot start and B dot cost. It's not cost, it's nothing but mileage actually. But the cost start is same, right? So here this entire thing is known as what? Hierarchical inheritance dot Java. So let's compile this thing, Java C space hierarchical inheritance dot Java. What's it saying? Just close that parenthesis properly. So now Java space hierarchical inheritance. So now starts with the key, Audi cost is 90 lakhs. Starts with the key, BMW manages 10 lakhs, 10 kilometers, right? So this entire thing is known as hierarchical inheritance. Inheritance is very simple. In a single word, if you have to describe inheritance, it's nothing but reusability. All the properties of superclass you are trying to acquire in the subclass. Okay? And the most important point is that whenever you create an object for the subclass, an automatic memory or object will get created for the superclass, or a copy of superclass will get generated inside the subclass object. Okay, and that's a particular inheritance. And you have to make sure that object consists of the values which are used in the calculation. So these are the three things you have to make sure you remember when you are trying to execute the inheritance. There are only three types, and we have one more type known as multiple inheritance in this particular C++. But Java does not support multiple inheritance. Why it does not support at the time of interface concept, I'll clear you again. Okay. So till that time, this particular car, Audi and BMW are the three classes which are in hierarchical inheritance. Totally single level completed, multi-level is completed, and hierarchical inheritance is completed. Okay. So